Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Supervisory Deputy Robert Clark. I'm the Supervisory Deputy for the Eastern Pennsylvania Violent Crimes Fugitive Task Force. I wanted to provide everybody an update on the fugitive investigation on Shane Pryor. We've had a lot of inquiries over the past 2 days, and now that we're, over 48 hours into this, I felt that the press needs to know where we stand. I've created a timeline, and I've also have some other bullets I'd like to share. So at this time, I'm going to open with the timeline of our investigation. On January 24th, at approximately 11:51 a.m., Shane Pryor escaped from custody during a transport to the Children's Hospital of Pennsylvania, where he was seeking treatment for an injury to his hand. Video surveillance, which was released yesterday, shows that at approximately 11:55 a.m., Pryor entered the lobby of the Hub for Clinical Collaboration building and asked an employee to use her cell phone. That request was denied, and Pryor exited the building. At approximately 11:57 a.m., Pryor asked a civilian on Civic Boulevard to use her phone, claiming he had just been in a fight and needed to make a call. That civilian allowed Pryor to utilize her phone, and Pryor then called associate Michael Diggs to pick him up. Diggs arrived in the area of 3500 Civic Boulevard at around 12:29 p.m., and Pryor entered a cream-colored Ford Fusion, and that vehicle then left University City. At approximately 1:13 p.m., Pryor and Diggs were observed on video at the intersection of Masher and Godfrey Avenue and remained there until 2 p.m., at which time they left in the same vehicle. At 6:38 p.m., the Ford Fusion was stopped in the 200 block of East Logan Street by members of Philadelphia's Highway Patrol, and Michael Diggs was detained for investigation. Pryor was not in the vehicle at the time of the stop. Yesterday, Diggs was charged with hindering apprehension, escape, use of communication facility, and criminal conspiracy relating to Shane Pryor's escape. We continue to ask for the public's assistance in locating Shane Pryor. A $5,000 reward has been offered for information leading to his arrest. The reward will remain anonymous and be processed immediately upon apprehension. Over the past 2 days, I have heard the family of Shane Pryor claiming his innocence for the murder which he has been charged. However, it is my contention that flight is an indicator of guilt, and the longer Pryor stays on the run, the more desperate he becomes. This desperation could lead to further crimes being committed to aid his flight, and this would be detrimental to his future court cases. If Shane Pryor wishes to contest his charges, he should be fighting his case from the courtroom and surrender to the nearest police officer immediately. We have an experienced and talented group of investigators from the U.S. Marshals Service and Philadelphia Police Department who are working around the clock and will stop at nothing until Pryor is arrested. If Pryor believes he can flee Philadelphia, our Marshal Service deputies are prepared to deploy our investigative resources wherever he may be. Shane Pryor has been incarcerated since he was 14 years old. Right now, at the early age of 17, he surely has help furthering his flight. Within 6 hours, our fugitive task force identified and located Michael Diggs, the getaway driver for Shane Pryor, who I stated earlier was charged with multiple felonies. This should demonstrate our resolve and seriousness in prosecuting anyone that is aiding in Pryor's flight. The investigative resources of the Marshals Service, combined with the full commitment of the Philadelphia Police Department, will surely result in the capture of Shane Pryor, which is inevitable. At this time, I'd be glad to take any questions.
What's your confidence level that you'll find him, and has that changed at all? And do you think he's still within the Philadelphia city limits?
I'm extremely confident we're going to find him. It's just a matter of when, or we won't find him if he decides to turn himself in, which is what we're hoping he does. We have nothing to suggest he's outside of Philadelphia. Our investigation so far reveals he's still in the city, and that's where our focus remains. Go ahead, sir.
Do you think he has a weapon, and did you get any information from Mr. Diggs?
We have no information that he has a weapon, and anything that Mr. Diggs would have said to us is confidential right now.
Do you believe that he's being helped by somebody else, staying so long on the run?
Absolutely. 100% he's being helped by somebody out there in the street. It may be a small faction of his friends or possibly family, and that's why I put that warning out that, hey, in 6 hours, we located the getaway driver. We charged Michael Diggs. He's up State Road now, and we will continue to prosecute anyone that furthers Shane Pryor's flight.
What do you think he was between that 2 p.m., 6:30-ish timeline where he met up and was picked up by Diggs, and then Diggs was pulled over around 6:30? Where do you guys think he was in that time?
We don't know. We're working on it. Historically, we know that Shane Pryor has connections to Mayfair. So he's been stopped in Mayfair. I believe he has some brief criminal history in Mayfair. So the Mayfair section of the city is definitely an interest to us. But as of knowing exactly where he was, we don't have that information right now.
Is there an idea of what neighborhood or what part of the city, since he has connections in Mayfair, you think that he might still be there, or are there any other neighborhoods you think that you're focusing the investigation?
I don't even know if he's there. What I'm saying is we know that he has connections to Mayfair. That's definitely a possibility where he may be. You got to remember, when he was arrested at 14 years old, he's been in jail 3 years. How much of the city does he really know other than when he was up until the age of 14? So Mayfair is our best guess right now, but we have nothing solid to suggest that.
Between that time he took a civilian's phone to call Diggs and then Diggs showing up, where was he in that area?
We believe he was in and out of the buildings in and out of the CHOP buildings.
And no security was able to catch him at that point? Were there any alerts that went out?
I'm not sure about the alerts, or if alerts went out with photos, or they were just generic text alerts. I just don't know. That's something to ask CHOP. I do know that when Mr. Pryor escaped, he was pursued on foot. Unfortunately, the escorting staff from the Juvenile Justice Center were not able to catch up to him, but they did pursue.
Did they slip on the ice?
I believe that they may have slipped. I know they were pursuing. I don't know the exact circumstance why they didn't catch up to him, but they were extremely close. I was told almost in arm's length of him when they couldn't catch up to him.
What are your biggest concerns right now? 48 hours later, we're headed into the weekend, maybe easier to blend into this community. He may have new clothes. What are your biggest concerns?
My biggest concern is someone's going to try to help him and get out of the Philadelphia area, in which time we're proactively planning to take the Marshal Service resources to wherever he may be. There's been, like I said, talk that the family's been proclaiming his innocence, and we reiterate that his fight should be in the courtroom, fighting that court battle, not out on the streets, because the more time that he's out on the street, the more desperate he becomes, and in our experience, there's more likelihood to cause some type of violent crime, and that's what we do not want.
Do you know where exactly Diggs picked him up, off in the University City area? And also, is the Masher address that they are seen driving to, is that a residence? What kind of building is it?
It's just a corner. It's just a corner. And the exact location, I think, was in the 3500 block. I don't know exactly where, but it's extremely close to the emergency room of CHOP. Very close.
Was he in a store, did you say?
We believe he may have been frequenting a store up in that area.
Is it clear if he's tried to contact any family? Have you already spoken to family or approached families, residences, places where?
Yeah, I think it's fair to assume that we've talked to a lot of family members, talked to associates. Right now, we're trying to shrink his world down. We're trying to cut off his resources, and we're trying to cover every avenue of escape that he could have. Remember, he's only 17 years old. He's been in jail the last 3 years. How many resources can an individual who's been in jail the past 3 years at the age of 14 have right now? And, that's why we put that warning out. Anyone helping him, no questions asked, you're going to be prosecuted, as we demonstrated with Michael Diggs.
So just to be clear, the last confirmed sighting of Pryor is at Masher and Godfrey around 2 p.m. The 24th.
That's correct.
Do you have any evidence of him changing his clothes?
As of right now, we don't know what clothes he's wearing. We're going to review as much video that we can obtain, and perhaps we can put some images out later. But as of right now, I don't have a clothing description of what he could be wearing. Our best description of 5'6", I think we put out 150, 160 pounds, 5'6", 5'7", 160 pounds. We do believe he has an injured hand. To the extent of that injury, I don't know. He could possibly be wearing white sneakers. Somebody said a navy blue sweatshirt, but that's all speculation. We don't have a solid description to give out to the public at this point. I'm hoping in the future we do.
Yeah, and him first being arrested as a 14-year-old in those first photos, he's very baby-faced.
Correct.
He's already, changed his look.
Sure, he's matured tremendously in the past 3 years. Some of the booking photos that were out there, they're the baby face of a 14-year-old. I think the public needs to concentrate on the video that we put out from CHOP. where he definitely looks a little more mature, and I think those are more accurate videos of what he looks like. And if we can obtain more video in the future, I'll be the first to put him out there.
I was gonna say, are you asking neighbors to look at the ring cameras or home surveillance to see if they're catching him walk by or anything at this point?
We're asking for anybody who has any information to call our tip line at our national tip line 1-877-1-2, or our local tip line, which I put out in the press release. You can go to the website www.usmarshals.gov. The first thing it asks you, would you like to submit a tip? Just click yes. But we'd rather get 1,000 tips that don't work out than miss that one tip that could have been something. So we're asking the public to be vigilant. People in the Mayfair area, be on the lookout. That is an area he's known to frequent. And if you have any information, contact us immediately. We're working around the clock over the weekend. Our investigators are only going home to catch a few hours of sleep. So much like the previous escape from Philadelphia, the Philadelphia prison system for Amin Hurst and Nasir Grant, we're working around the clock on this. And we're prepared for the long haul. If we don't have them here in a couple days, we are proactively planning to use the Marshal Service resources to go wherever he may be, up and down the East Coast, out west, wherever he's going, we're going to pursue.
Could you just give a little logistically what kind of resources you do have? Safe to say, is it the search intensifying more? Because the reference point I have is Danilo Cavalcante, and as the days went on, the resources just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
Could you just kind of, as a reference, what makes this a little different?
So with Danilo Cavalcante, it was different because we had him confined to maybe a 6-mile perimeter in the woods. We needed bodies, boots on the ground to go through the woods. We needed some surveillance resources. Here, we don't have a defined area for Shane Pryor, so it's a matter of investigation, talking to people, getting video surveillance. It's a little bit it's a different type of investigation that Cavalcante was. This is more of an urban, where I'd say the Cavalcante was more rural, and we had him contained in a perimeter twice. Here, we don't have a perimeter set. Anything else? All right, thank you. Appreciate it.